Welcome back to the Max Reality. If you've seen my face before, then you know the drill, but if you're new here, my name's Morgan, and I love talking all things reality TV, and today we continue our journey through Shark Tank Season 15. Today, we're on episode 21. But before we can talk about the latest episode of Shark Tank, we have to go back to Season 14 and talk about Stealth Bros & Co. Now, if you've seen my other Shark Tank videos, you know the drill, but if you're new here, Stealth Bros & Co. was founded by Brax, who is a trans man who was looking for a better way to store his testosterone, so he came up with Stealth Bros & Co. They have everything from dop kit bags to sharp containers for your needles, anything you could need to be stylish and secure in containing what you need for your medicine. But they're not limited to just medicine. You can use their bags to store any of your different things that you need. I personally use mine as my on-the-go go-to bag. This is mine. I like to keep mine in my purse and keep all my little essentials in it and transfer it from bag to bag to know I have everything I can need in whatever bag I'm taking. Also, sometimes I'll just use this bag by itself when I'm running a quick errand like going to the grocery store. It's nice to have something small but can hold all the different things I need when I'm on the go. And this isn't the only size or style bag they have. They make them in all different colors, and there's also a bigger size in this that's more of a toiletry style sized bag, and they have a full duffel bag sized bag. So really anything that you could need for storage and traveling, they have it for you. So check out stealthbrosandco.com. Their link is in my description and use my code SBCMAX20 for 20% off your purchase. Now, let's get back into the latest episode of Shark Tank. Our sharks for the episode are Barbara, Kevin, Lori, Mark, and our guest shark, Michael Rubin, CEO and founder of Fanatics. Yes, I dressed for theme today with the fun baseball earrings since it's a sporty shark episode. Our first pitch of the night is RoboBurger. Dan, Audley, and Andy walked into the tank looking for $1.5 million for 5% of their burger vending machine. Here's what it looks like. You go up to it, you tell it the things you want on your burger, you pay, and then it makes a burger inside of it. What it does is it pretty much reheats already cooked ingredients, and then it also slaps on the different condiments and cheeses, and in about 4 minutes, you have a vending machine burger. At the moment, it does burgers, and then they also do little egg breakfast sandwiches. They didn't get into that much on the show. I mostly just saw it on their website. They brought it up for a hot second, but I don't have any idea of how you transition if it does both at the same time. That is lost on me. But at the moment, the focus is the burger. It is literally just bun, meat, condiments, melted cheese of some sort. I think it's nacho cheese. I can't tell. It just says melted cheese. And how the reheating works is it goes on a little griddle of some sort to give it that kind of same grilled effect. And then it puts it all together. And like I said, it comes out the end. And that's how it works. So they have two main ways of making money. They license and rent out the machines, and then they also set some machines up themselves and make money that way. They also brought up the idea of white labeling. I'm not really sure if they've done it yet, but, presumably getting another restaurant to take their technology and put their own recipe in it. And we don't get a lot of hard costs. We're going to get more into sales and numbers farther on. I know I usually do kind of all of it in the beginning, but this pitch was so chaotic. I kind of want to just take you on the journey with me. But what I will tell you as far as numbers and making money, it's only been in beta. They've opened some of the vending machines in beta locations, and at those locations, they priced the burgers between $5.99 and $6.99, and it cost them $2.25 to make. So that's the numbers you're going to get, and let's just dive into how this pitch went.
Guys, there are a zillion robotic food manufacturing companies. I get them pitched all the time. Robotics in the kitchens and others.
You're shaking your heads no.
Then tell me otherwise.
Tell us why Mark's wrong.
I'm getting the pitches.
So this is kind of the first main attack on them. As I'm sure other people were thinking to themselves, these are definitely already thing. Food vending machines are out there. We've seen them, especially in places like Japan. This is not a new concept. And how they defend against Mark is by saying that they have 4 patents and they pretty much own the sandwich and making the sandwich in a vending machine. To which Mark points out that with those patents, they're probably doing something different with the technology, but that doesn't negate the fact that they're 100% competitors out there doing very similar things. I will also say they do now have 5 patents, not 4. I found that out on their website. But again, that does not change Mark's point at all. So Kevin, in typical Kevin fashion, is ready to get into the numbers and decides to put us in a hypothetical situation. And he says, I own an office with about 1,000 employees. I want to buy a machine from you, or 2. What does that look like? What's it cost? What's going on? And their first answer is that what they would really recommend is clustering the machines and getting 4 of them, and the cost to rent them is $3,000 a month per machine. Michael Rubin then asks the next logical question, which is, what is the typical revenue you can expect from one of these machines? And they start talking about how great it is because they can also do other proteins like breakfast egg sandwiches.
That wasn't the question, guys.
But we move on, and Kevin wants to get more into the logistics of everything. For example, what are you getting for the $3,000 a month rental fee? Are they stocking it? Do they come out there? What happens? The answer is no. What the rental fee gets you is their recipes, which I don't know if they just mean like how you load the machine, I don't know what they mean by recipes. This isn't explained, and maybe I'm dumb for not really understanding it, but it's what recipes? It only makes a burger, and it's not like it makes anyway. And the other part of it is you have a warranty on it. That's what the $3,000 get you. They also say they'll set you up with a logistics company for getting the food to you. So I don't know how that works exactly, but that's what your $3,000 gets you. A warranty and recipes. Again, the next obvious question. I feel like this whole time, the sharks are like hand-holding them through this, trying to understand this business. And these guys are just like, listen, it's so great. It's the robo machine. It's great. You want to invest in this. But they're still trying. We're leading them through. And the next question is, what are average food costs look like? And he's like, it depends on the recipes you choose, and like this causes a complete breakdown among the sharks. They all start talking over each other, trying to ask them questions. It is just a total chaos moment. Michael Rubin is able to break through all the noise and chaos though, and he asks them what they realistically think the scalability and profitability of this business is. And they start talking about how great it is because you can sell so many because it's open 24 hours. So it's easy to sell like 50 units a day.
Is that the number some of them have proven to sell?
And the answer to that is no. One of the main guys who's really like energetic and talking the most is like, it was like 20, 30, and then one of them who'd been more quiet, not talking, is like, 20 a day. So I'm thinking it's probably closer to that 20 range, but no matter what, this absolutely just makes Kevin break down.
How do I make money? All the rest doesn't matter.
Great question. So first of all,
I think it's a fantastic question.
As I said earlier, they did a beta launch of this, and that's been going on for 18 months, and they sold almost 1,000 burgers, and then they have 14 contracts for units. From what it sounded like, it doesn't sound like those are active contracts with units that are out there in the field being used. It sounds like they're promises to buy one or rent one when they build the machines. That was the way it was worded to me. I might be getting a little confused. But in terms of actual money, this year they're projecting to do $1.4 million in revenue. Do we think they're profitable? No, obviously not. They are not. They plan to lose $700,000, but next year, they say they will be profitable. They project next year they'll do $7 million in sales and do $1.6 million in profit. Mark says if they had come in with this as a licensing play where they want to sell the technology for different people to use, he would be much more interested in this company, but he doesn't like the idea of them using this to sell vending machines, and for those reasons, he's out. Then we find out that Michael is an investor in Kevin Hart's plant-based restaurant Hart House, which who knew that Kevin Hart had a plant-based restaurant? I didn't. And he was thinking about the possibility of using something like this for that, but ultimately, after listening to them, it just doesn't make sense. The numbers aren't adding up. He says he's a fan. Get it? Fanatics. Anyway, but he's out. Then Barbara tells us she has some experience with this. her investment Daisy Cakes, which I'm pretty sure we have talked about multiple times this season. But anyway, they tried to do the vending machine route in airports for a little while, and she said the vending machines just always had a problem. They always needed maintenance, something was always broken, and they ended up being more trouble than they were worth, and she does not want to go down a similar route with these guys, and so she is out. Then we have Lori, who goes out for the same reason I would. She's like, this whole thing has been very confusing. Your business model is confusing. I'm out. And girl, same. The entrepreneurs can obviously see that the ship is sinking, and so they throw out there what they really need and why they're there is financing. They need money to fulfill purchase orders of people wanting these machines. That's really what's holding them back. And this perks Michael up. And he says, you know, if all you're really needing is money, would you be interested in doing the $1.5 million as a loan against hard purchase orders at market interest rates? And then I would also need 10%. And this completely splits the tank, with half of them being like, that's a terrible deal offer, blah, blah, blah. And the other half being like, take it. That's a great offer. Take it immediately. Ultimately, it doesn't matter because it's the only offer they have on the table. But the entrepreneurs feel like the 10% is too high, so they try countering Michael 2%.
No.
But Michael says it's too much of a risk. He just flat out says, I have no idea if this is going to work or not. I don't know. And so I can't go any lower than 10%. Final answer.
What do you want to do?
Well, Mr. O'Leary, what would you like to do?
Kevin says this whole pitch has been very chaotic, but he is very interested in Michael's very Mr. Wonderful offer, as he calls it, and Michael suggests that they go in on this together and split it, and Kevin's down, so they agree to just split the original offer that Michael made them, which is 1.5 as a loan, market rate, all that, for 10%, which I feel like we should point out is 5% for Mr. Wonderful, which just last episode, we were talking about his whole, I don't get out of bed for less than 10%, even though he already had with another deal business that I still haven't looked up and I still can't figure out which one that is that I'm talking about. Doesn't matter. The point is he has to stop saying that next season. If he says it next season, I'll have a clip reel ready. I'll have a clip reel ready for it. The entrepreneurs take a minute to confer with one another, and they try to counter once more for 8%. And Michael, out of the goodness of his heart, suggests to Kevin that they just split the difference at 9. Kevin and me think Michael's being too nice, but Kevin concedes, and they end up making the deal for $1.5 million as a loan against hard purchase orders for 9%. Final thoughts. To start out, we have to talk about the original ask of $1.5 million for 5%. While it's not the highest valuation that somebody has put on their business as an offer, with it being $30 million, it is on up there. There's a website that I go to a lot called Shark Tank Tales. They have a business valuation calculator that I use all the time, but they also had an article about some of the highest asks and offers and deals made, and it sits right in there with some of these highest ones. The highest ask valuation was from season 12 Lark. They asked for $500,000 for 1%, which puts them at a $50 million valuation. So it's sitting right up there in this list. So to be fair to these other businesses, though, I don't really remember their sales or anything. I'm sure it says it in this article, but it's still just wild in concept to go on a show like this and ask for something like that. Honestly, if your business is actually worth $50 million, do not come on Shark Tank. Sorry. If you've seen my videos before, you know I'm always lurking on the Shark Tank Reddit. And this time I found somebody in there who was saying that they actually had one of these in their office. Again, it's Reddit, so you can believe it or not, but they talked about how it was down more times than it was active. There was always something broken, all of that. And as you could hear, I said he used to have one in his office building. Someone was brave enough to ask, why? Why did they get rid of it? And the guy was like, because it was always broken. So funny. I died. And then I also have to bring up this absolutely brutal comment I read. I'm just gonna show y'all. Funny, we did something like this on our university. It was about 15 years ago. For many years, people tried to bring it to the market, but there are just too many problems with it, and it's cheaper to get a food truck. Eventually, this only worked for Italian ice cream. I'm wondering, why are you in the USA playing with something that Europe figured out decades ago? God, absolutely vicious thing to say in the Shark Tank Reddit. Like, what the hell? As for my own personal thoughts, one thing I will say is their website is very detailed. You can go on there and look at different costing of things, and they have projection calculators of how you should price things out. I will say that on the website, in their own little calculator thing, it said you should sell these burgers at $7.99. There is just no world. There's no world in which I will pay $7.99 for a plain cheeseburger out of a vending machine by itself. What madness. If I get to that point in my life, somebody needs to help me. I am obviously in a dark place. Somebody come rescue me. There's just no, I can't fathom it. I can't fathom it. I mean, the whole concept by itself, I get that there are food vending machines, blah, 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 blah. But to me, it still weirds me out. The idea, the cleaning of it just makes me nervous, And I'm sure, you can always say you don't know what's happening behind a restaurant. Sure, whatever. But I don't know. Another thing, the cheese. I kind of brought it up earlier, but it seems like it's just called melty cheese. And if it's like the nacho cheese you get at the ballpark, which is honestly what it looks like, that's so gross to me. I can't. Also, when you're watching it squirt the condiments, it just kind of squirts like a big glob of ketchup and a big glob of mustard. And I'm not saying like somebody at McDonald's is like evening out and smoothing it for you, but you're probably gonna like squirt it, at least just not dollop of ketchup on one side. And I don't know, the whole process, I'm not a fan, as you can all tell. Not a fan. I don't see myself ever using one of these. I get that they have different ratings with cleanliness organizations. I have that linked in my resource documents along with the Reddit and then the article I was referencing for Shark Tank Tales. But I don't know. I can't trust a random office to maintain these properly. What? And last, kind of thinking about it from the perspective of somebody who'd be buying or leasing one of these machines, it honestly doesn't seem worth it, especially leasing it for $3,000 a month. I can't justify it, either in their pitch or on their website. Also, they were talking a bunch about 68 burgers. That's kind of what you're looking at for revenue and all of that. But the machines only make 50 burgers per stocking. So if you're trying to sell that many burgers, that means somebody's restocking it every day. Where are you storing the food, too, that needs to go into the machine while it's not in the machine? Does the logistics company come out every day? Do they clean it? I don't know. It just doesn't really seem worth it for, like, the small, like, kickback you might get. At that point, just put, like, a normal chips vending machine in. I think you're going to get more bang for your buck that way. I don't see it. I'm so shocked they got a deal. We'll see where it goes. I'm not on board with this one, though. This is a no from me, dog. Our second pitch of the night is Hood. Max walked into the tank looking for $500,000 for 5% of his custom luxury hats that display hometown pride. Here's what they look like. You go onto their website and pick the material, the colors, all of that, and then you can customize what you want it to say. Obviously, they focus a lot on the different hometowns, but technically you put whatever on there. The best part is always seeing the sharks get their own custom stuff like this. It's so cute when they're so excited. I loved every minute. For the cost breakdown, they used the wool hat that Mark had. He says it cost them around $14 to make, and they retail for $90. They didn't talk about this during the pitch, but I always go and look at the website, look at the pricing and all of that good stuff. And from what I can tell on the customization side, the cheapest you can go is about $65. That's for one of the types of hats, I think twill, and that gets you the hat and then whatever lettering, wording you're wanting to put on it. They also can do a 3D lift, which is $10 extra, or you can do chain stitching, which is $20 extra, and the most expensive base hat I could find was $125 for a fitted merino wool hat. That blew my mind. So 90 is one of their higher priced hats, but yeah, it's there's a little bit of a range there in the different pricings. They also already have some pre-made ones for different states and cities. I was shocked that my city was on there. I truly went thinking there was no way, and it was. So I was pleasantly surprised. Mine even had a little story about my city. Not all of them did. So sorry if yours doesn't. Mine's just a little bit better. He started the business in 2018, and we get a full sales ramp, which I love to see. I always love when they give us every piece of the numbers. So 2018, they did $18,000, 2019, $23,000, 2020 was the first year that they started doing the whole customization thing, and they made $364,000. 2021, $508,000, 2022, $693,000, and year to date, they're on track to do a little over $1 million, putting their lifetime sales at $1.9 million. But the famous question still stands. Do we think they're profitable?
You're probably not going to like what I'm getting ready to say.
Definitely not.
And as you can probably guess from that reaction, the answer is once again no. And Kevin's reaction to Max not being profitable is gold. Classic, put it in the vault, Mr. Wonderful moment.
Wah, 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 wah. Max, honey, sweetie, poopsie, baby.
I honestly just need to save that clip for myself and play it to myself whenever I'm making a bad decision or I've done something wrong. Just hear Mr. Wonderful go, Max, sweetie, honey, poopsie, baby. Like, so funny. I just was shocked. That came out of his mouth. It was so funny. Also, of course, this is the entrepreneur that has to share my namesake, the one that's going to drive Mr. Wonderful crazy. Spoiler alert. I just, like, come on, Max is. Come on. Mr. Wonderful then points out that coming in here asking for a $10 million valuation and then not having any free cash flow or profitability isn't gonna go well for him. Michael jumps in to ask Max how he plans to differentiate himself from places like Lids, which Michael happens to own. And before Max can even think about answering this question, Kevin and Mark just start beating him down about his valuation, calling it insane and everything.
Max, it's not insane if I can buy 150% of your company.
And during this time, Mark goes out, obviously because he thinks the valuation is ridiculous. Because everybody is beating down on his valuation, he decides to actually tell us how he got to that number. In my personal opinion, the way he explained this was kind of confusing. I'm going to do my best to make it less confusing. I don't know if that will happen. So what happened is last year they had a convertible note actually convert $150,000 to 2% equity. I think I've talked a little bit about convertible notes before. The basics of how they work is you're giving somebody money as an investment for the promise of future equity. So they've had this money, and at some point there are different rules or terms, depending on how the agreement works, of when the money will convert to equity. But last year it happened for them, and this put a valuation on the company. This valued the company at $7.5 million. So he took that business value, I'm putting it in quotes because the business is not worth $7.5 million, but I mean, it technically is. He took that number, divided it by his sales last year, which were $693,000, and that's how he got to a 10.7 multiplier. He took that 10.7 against the 1 million he's planning to do this year, which in turn equals $10 million.
That's how they taught us how to do math in Staten Island.
And while his math may not be, good math, I mean, the math is right, but it doesn't math, if that makes sense. At least he did have a reason. So many people will come in with off-the-wall valuations and be like, well, I just think that's what it's worth. So at least, he had numbers, he had a reason. I mean, do I like it? No, but it's an answer, which is better than some people do. Kevin then talks about how the old Mr. Wonderful would have taken this valuation and completely ripped this man to shreds. But he's been in anger management classes the last 2 years, and he now knows how to be calm.
I'm so unhappy with you.
I'm sorry to hear
I'm
that,
out.
man.
Well, I do think the anger management classes, are probably good for his mental health, and honestly have been good for the show. I think he's a lot more fun, a lot more light than he used to be, but every now and then, I wish he would just let it out of the box. I feel like every now and then, we need to take this behind the barn and shoot it. There are some people who need to hear that. Not every single person like he was doing. I'm not saying go back Kevin. I'm not saying go back. I'm just saying once in a while, you can let him out, you know? And this starts the avalanche of the rest of the sharks going out. Michael doesn't see how he's going to differentiate himself from the others out there, plus the ridiculous valuation, so he's out. Lori says it's a good business for you, but not investable for me, without saying that word for word, but point is, she's also out. And lastly, we have Barbara, who hates the fact that they haven't made any money in the last 5 years. So she is also out, and he leaves the tank without a deal.
Thank you very much, Max.
I swear the way Mr. Wonderful is like, thank you. You can feel every ounce of him just trying to stay calm, and it's so funny to me. I've rewatched that clip so many times. Thank you. Just final thoughts. First things first. I mean, yeah, it's really expensive for a baseball hat. The big thing they talk about is the materials and all that. That's great, but a lot of those materials, they're like so nice. I don't really think I want a baseball hat made out of them. And I'm a big hat wearer, but I don't know. I feel like I'd almost be too nervous to wear it. And places where it would be like nice enough to wear it, I don't feel like I'd be wearing a ball cap, if that makes sense. So I don't see this in the future for me. Although I like the idea and I think they look cute. I just don't know if I can justify even the $65 ball cap. I just don't think I could do it. One thing that I think could be interesting for them, and maybe they already do it, they didn't talk about it, they only talked to direct to consumer, but maybe doing boutique wholesale orders. They might already do it since they're doing some of these pre-made hats, but I think that'd be a cool thing. I could see little cities wanting to buy these in bulk. It'd be a cute thing for, tourists or even me. I buy stuff with my own city on it. So that was the one little thought I had of something they didn't talk about, but it's very possible he's already doing. So this could be free advice for nothing. And then I can't leave this pitch without talking about a similar pitch that people were bringing up in the Shark Tank Reddit, which was home teas. They were from season 6, and they did these like gray shirts with your home state and the name. I bet y'all have seen them. I feel like they're pretty popular, and I bet people knocked them off a lot because it's kind of simple. They also didn't get a deal. However, I will say they actually were very profitable, so them not getting a deal was wild. The business might have been kind of, good business for you, not for me, but I mean, if Home Tea didn't get a deal, I don't see this hood hat getting a deal. So just had to bring that up since they're in the same kind of vein of items. When somebody brought that up in the Shark Tank Reddit, I was like, oh yeah, Home Tea. Our third pitch of the night is the Hype Company. Mark and Chang walked into the tank looking for $125,000 for 5% of their custom slide business. Here it is. How it works is that very top strap comes off, revealing the 2 little side Velcro straps, and you can replace it with whatever design you want, giving you multiple different options for your shoes. You can customize your own design, and then they also have some different designs, mostly college sports, but you can put whatever you want on these slides. So for starters, they begin the pitch like this.
Sharks, have you ever noticed how stale fan gear has become? It's the same old product with just a different sticker for each team.
We want more! We want more!
That's right, we want more than uninspiring and boring designs out there.
And Michael's face absolutely killed me. So bold of them, and honestly, I love it. Like, don't lie to that man. The fan merch is boring and bad, like, especially with all the stuff he has going on with the merch right now. It just made me laugh extra hard. I can't. Then another great moment we had is when all the sharks are walking around, trying on the slides, seeing how comfortable they are. We get Barbara giving a little fashion tip to Mark.
You don't wear socks with them.
They actually have a patent on this. They got a utility patent for having the 2 components come together to make an adjustable slide. These guys are actually in the Shark Tank Reddit product discussion thread. So if you want a more descriptive version of what their exact patent is, they talk about it over there. Definitely feel free to check it out because I read it and it felt like I did not understand the words he was saying. So they sell these both direct to consumer and wholesale. They're in places like Finish Line, Target, and even Fanatics. So for the licensed team slide, one of the slides that has one of the college teams or something like that, it costs them $10.93 to make. They wholesale it for $30 and then it retails for $60.
Is that the typical price of a slide?
That seems pretty high to me.
They've been in business for years, and up to this point, they were just selling normal slides. This customizable thing is a brand new thing that they are launching. So all the sales are based off their just normal slide. The lifetime sales are $500,000. Year to date, they did $60,000, and last year they did $55,000. They don't talk about if they're profitable or not, so I'm not sure. It feels like, since the numbers aren't great, maybe not. Who knows? It's also hard to say because they're investing in making a whole new version of their product, so that could be part of it. Who knows? We don't, because they didn't show it. Michael wants to know how they're planning to grow this into a big business that's worth him coming and investing in. They say the biggest way they're planning to grow is to expand their licenses, and that doesn't even just have to limit to sports licensing. And along with that, they have the customization to put anything you want on there, and that opens up the market to lots of different people. But the Sharks aren't really feeling this one, and they all kind of start to go out. First, we have Lori, who says that she likes to invest in companies that don't have a bunch of competition with similar products out there, so she's out. Then we have Kevin, who one of his main concerns is they have no idea what their customer acquisition cost is going to be for this new product yet, because they haven't launched it. There's just too much unknown going on with that, and because of that, he's out. Then we have Mark, who just pretty much flat out says, I don't want to be in the slide business, and he's out. Then we have Michael, who puts a little spin on Lori's "it's a good business for you, not investable for me," by saying that he sees them having a great chance of building a small to medium business, but because he doesn't see it growing much past that, he's out. But we still have Barbara, who, surprising to me, is actually really interested in this, especially the whole customization side of things. She thinks people will really be interested in it, and she offers them $125,000, half as cash and half as a line of credit for 25%. And once again, surprising to me, they're totally fine with the 25% equity. They're cool with giving up that amount because they see how Barbara could really help them and see her worth as a Shark. But they're hoping that maybe she could go up in the cash sum, and they actually give a pretty good reason. Most people just say, well, you went up, so I want more cash. But they talk about how they don't want to have to go out there and raise more money and dilute her equity and dilute their equity. So, why not just more cash now? They counter to her doing $350,000 for the 25%. She says she'd do it as $100,000 in cash and $250,000 as a line of credit. And they end up making a deal with Barbara for $100,000 in cash, $250,000 line of credit for $350,000 total for 25%. Into final thoughts, as I said earlier, the entrepreneurs are in the product discussion Reddit thread. They've been answering a bunch of questions and getting more specific about certain things. So I totally recommend, if you have any questions, want to be respectful, go over there, ask them. They seem very open to answering any and all questions, which we love to see. Once again, like the hood hat, we have kind of a similar product that's been in the tank before. Not even kind of similar. The other one was kind of similar. This is more similar. There was a pitch in season 8 called iSlide for custom slides. The main difference with that one is it's just one slide. You're customizing it and that's it. It doesn't have any switch outs, any of that. But still, it's a custom slide business. Multiple people brought that up, so I too had to bring up that we've seen this before, but it is at least different. While it's the same, it's also different. Then just into my own personal opinion, I do think it's pretty expensive, but it's also so fun. The amount of strength it's taking me not to order some with my dog's face across them. How funny. I think the biggest thing that's honestly keeping me from it is I don't like the design of the bottom part. I wish it was just plain. I hate that it has a pattern to it. And that honestly is helping keeping me from making a dumb purchase like this. Because do I need slides that are like $60 with my dog's face on them? No. Do I want them though? And then I could have ones with all his different little faces and then switch them out for, I need to stop this. Our fourth and final pitch of the night is K3 Shooting Band. Nikki walked into the tank looking for $100,000 for 20% of her resistance band that helps with basketball shooting training. Here it is. So you have the main band that goes across your wrist, and then the 2 resistance bands going up to your pointer and middle finger. This helps to teach a player to shoot with proper rotation. Then, of course, we have to have Mark, owner of the Mavs, come up and, give it a whirl, give it a little go.
Just ask one question. Is this why you own a basketball team instead
Come on
of
now. It's a
on a team?
6-foot hoop.
Like our previous product, she too has a patent for this. It cost her 91 cents to make, and it retails for $19.99. Y'all, she started this business in 2009, and she's been applying to Shark Tank for 15 seasons. That is all the seasons, in case you forgot where we were. All 15 seasons she has applied. That's just mind-blowing to me. Incredible. I do not think I have ever had that much determination for something in my life, and good for her. Incredible to see it. We don't get a full sales ramp. We just get a very small selection, actually. Last year, they did $43,000 in sales, and year to date, they had only done $10,000. We also don't talk about if they're profitable or not. So that's all I have for you. She sells it direct to consumer, and then she's also in places like Dick's Sporting Goods. They ordered half her first thing of inventory, which was 2,500 units, but they haven't reordered yet. I have no idea what span of time that was in. Something I feel like that they really failed to show us was what the business had been doing up to this point. I feel like usually with these older businesses, they'll ask about, what's been going on? And, sometimes they just don't show us these things, but I would really like to know, because I don't understand if maybe she was just developing it all these years, and maybe last year was the first year they were selling it, and that's why we only got last year's sales. I have no idea. I wish I knew. I'm sorry, I can't tell you. Obviously, it worries the Sharks that the retailers haven't reordered yet, and Nikki says their biggest hurdle they've been facing is marketing. So Michael asks what she's done so far to try to get this out there, and she says the most successful thing she's found is sending them out to NBA trainers. For example, Klay Thompson's trainer, Co-Warriors. I mean, except right now. It's not good right now, but we don't have to talk about that. Yeah, I'm a theater kid, and I like very random and selective sports. So, there. First, we have Michael jump in, talking about how he sees this as something that's going to be really hard to sell in retail. I assume what he means by this is because it's something that needs more explaining. He talks about how influencer, like video type marketing would be good for it. And plus, she makes more money if she does it direct to consumer. Then he starts asking Mark about how the product felt. You could very much tell he wanted to partner with Mark. But unfortunately, Mark likes the product, but because of his different commitments with the Mavs and them giving out products to kids, it'd be hard for him to invest in this, and he has to go out. But Mark being Mark, he wants to give some helpful advice on his way out, and he talks about how Nikki should consider pairing up with social media shooting coaches and people like that, and offering to pay them a commission on sales if they post on TikTok and Instagram and social media platforms like that. However, Michael feels like she needs to focus more on giving it to the NBA trainers. He talks about how she doesn't need to just pay for ads. She needs people who know the language, who can really break down and explain how this works and why it'll actually help people learn how to shoot better.
And the players, right?
The problem with players, though, is they want to get paid.
Kevin then says he agrees this needs to just be a direct-to-consumer business, but because she hasn't proven that that works, he goes out. Then Barbara asks a question that I quite frankly think we should be asking more. She asks Nikki what she's going to do if she doesn't get the money in the tank today, and Nikki says that she'll just keep doing what she's always done, which is working multiple jobs and doing whatever she needs to do to make the money to fund this business and have her dream. The reason I think we should be asking this more is because I feel like so many of them probably would just say, oh, another investor or something like that. I don't know. I just feel like so many people don't even maybe think about it. And I just want to hear that from more people. I would just be curious to hear what more of the entrepreneurs would say, especially if they were put on the spot with that, especially some of these who come in with like the crazy valuations. They've already have 20 investors. Those are the people who I really want her to ask. And while it may be a good question and arguably an even better answer from Nikki, just isn't something Barbara can really help with, so she goes out. Very funny to just go out immediately after asking this. That made me laugh so much. It's like so sincere and makes you feel like she's about to give an offer, but she's like, no, maybe she's just trying to help, bring the morale, but it's just so funny to me. Then it's back to Michael.
Nikki, I'm gonna give you really honest feedback. Yes. I don't love the business. I'm not even sure that I like the business, but I believe in you.
Michael is inspired by all of her hard work and dedication, and he makes her an offer of $100,000 for 50%. The caveat, though, to it is he doesn't want to keep the 50% for himself. He wants to try to get basketball players, coaches, people like that invested into the business who can help promote it and grow it. And he wants to give them their equity out of his, since usually if she was getting more investors, both of their equity would start getting diluted. But instead, she'll get more investors just coming from Michael's side. That's a bonus part of that. Then Lori chimes in being like, I really think I could help with redoing the packaging and marketing. And she asks Michael if he would want to team up. And Michael is 100% on board. If we've learned anything about having Michael as a guest shark this season, the one other time we had him, is he loves to have a teammate. He likes partnering with the other sharks so much, and he will do it at pretty much any opportunity. So now it's the same exact offer, $100,000, 50%, doing the other investors thing. But she has Lori and Michael. Nikki decides to try to counter for 40%, and they end up making a deal for $100,000 for 40%. Final thoughts. So, unsurprising, I'm sure, but I was a hooper back in the day, from 2nd to 8th grade. I was a professional bench warmer, great at it. The only award I ever got was a sportsmanship award, which I feel like actually would surprise multiple people. So while I do like basketball and I play NBA 2K on the Nintendo Switch, what I know about basketball is what I would call limited. So I don't really understand how the product works, if it works, but what I do understand is I loved Nikki. I'm a Nikki fan. I just really admire having something that you believe in so much and working hard to make it succeed. I really wish we could have gotten more of the backstory of what she's done from 2009 to now. We did get a lot of her personal backstory, which was really interesting and inspiring as well, but I would have rather heard the what's been going on with the business. Was she working on patents? What was the steps to get to now? When did she start selling? These are kind of things that I wish we'd gotten versus the personal story. While it was great, it's one of my grievances. That's why I usually don't talk about people's just personal backstories unless it's relevant or super funny. She's somebody I would really love to just talk to one day. I would love to hear her story of applying. And again, I would just even love to hear her business story. It makes me sad that it was the last pitch because they had a very big recap of the different businesses that we've looked back on this season. Because in case you didn't know, in case you just watch these videos and don't watch Shark Tanks, they look back at businesses. They'll do an update on an old business every episode. I just skip over it because that's not what this is for. But they had a huge one in this one talking about all the businesses that they had recapped during this season. It almost made me think it was going to be the finale, but I don't think it's the finale episode. Anyway, the last two pitches really got a very small amount of time each, and it made me sad because I'd love to just, she's if I could interview somebody for this channel, that would be number one. That'd be super cool. Overall, I really liked this pitch. I was really glad she got a deal. I also liked that she came in asking for a pretty reasonable ask for valuation, especially compared to most people this season and pretty much everyone this episode. And it was a good, nice one to end on. And that, my friends, is a wrap on Shark Tank Season 15, Episode 21. If If you made it this far in the video, thank you so much. Don't forget to like, and if you like these sort of videos, don't forget to check out my other videos and maybe subscribe. Editing Morgan here, so I had some different housekeeping things that I wanted to go over, and I completely forgot to record a section for it, so here we are now. Enjoy whatever random footage I've decided to put over this. First things first, I'm officially switching my upload schedule. I'm going to be posting new videos once a week on Friday. I know when we were in the midst of Shark Tank, I was doing Shark Tank Monday, Friday, and then reality TV general type videos on Wednesdays, but now it's just going to be one new video every week on Friday. On that same note, next week's video on Friday will not be a Shark Tank video because they have decided to take today, April 26th, off because they're hosting the NFL draft on ABC. Very fitting since this was the Sporty Shark episode, but also rude because no Shark Tank. I don't know exactly how many episodes are left. Historically, I think 25 is the most that they've done, but I know for sure there at least is one more new episode next week on Friday, May 3rd, so there will still be another Shark Tank video, do not fear. On that same note, last year I kept up with a big Excel sheet and kept a lot of data on Shark Tank season 14. I didn't do it this year because that video was kind of a lot to do, and it was one of my first videos starting to post more seriously on here, so it didn't do super well, and I wasn't really sure if I was going to end up doing it again. But theoretically, I could put all that data together using my notes and do a video similar to that. So let me know how y'all feel about that. I'll also link the video I did last year. It should be on the screen, and then I'll have it in the description down below if you want to check that out. And if it is something you're interested in, definitely know any stats you would want me to try to put together to talk about, any different funny awards you'd want me to give out. Let me know all that down below in the comments. Don't forget to check out Stealth Bros & Co. The link is below in my description, and use my code SBCMAX20 for 20% off your purchase. As always, I would love to hear all your thoughts, feelings, opinions, comments about the pitches, the deals that were made, the products, anything and everything down below. And until then, I'll see y'all in the next one.